Most of the time when people go to court, they want a certain result.
Right, but they are so emotional that they're using their attorney or the court, whichever it may be, as the place to vent. And then all of that emotion and all of that getting my whole story out so the court knows the whole thing actually decreases your chances of getting the result you want.
We want to be understood. We want to be heard. We want to make sure that you know exactly what a monkey's butt your ex-husband is.
Yeah. And he is, let me just tell you.
Yeah. And, whether your ex-husband is a monkey's butt is not the only question in the case.
Right.
And the question in the case is frequently, how do I create a parenting plan that fosters a relationship between your children and your monkey's butt husband?
Right.
The court is trying to create a family or a family system or a schedule that's going to promote the health, safety, and welfare and happiness of these children.
Right.
So their agenda is not necessarily to figure out who the jerk is and punish that person.
Which is always our concept. That's what we all want.
We
want the jerk to be punished, and the jerk is always the other person.
That's right.
We do feel like, oh my gosh, if I leave this one key thing out, I'm going to miss it. But honestly, 9 times out of 10, those little extraneous, fluff things that demonstrate how much of a jerk the other parent is, not terribly helpful in family law, because again, the judge isn't there to decide who's a jerk or whether or not somebody is, playing nice or not, or punishing them for not playing nice or whatever.
Right.
What they're there to decide is, does this person abuse the kids? In other words, are they beating them? Are they molesting them? Are they burning them? Are they, I always say the bar's really low, and unfortunately it is in a lot of ways. So the fact that they're a jerk and speak rudely to the kid or cuss at them or different things like that, probably not going to buy you a lot of leverage.
Right.
The court's concern is, are they an adequate parent? And if they are, what's the parenting plan? What's the support? What's the division of the property and debts? And, they don't care that, well, she sat home for 10 years and I've been asking her to work and she won't. Yeah. Or he's changed jobs every 2 years and created constant financial hardship, and so I should get, A, B, C, and D. The problem with arguments like that is, well, you stayed with that person for 10 years and you stayed with them while they were quitting jobs or being a stay-at-home parent or whatever, and you were fine with it, and now suddenly you have a problem.
For which party is it about the other party?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as it becomes about your ex, about your resentment, you might as well get yourself a black hat.
Right. Which is why people want to tell their whole story, because they resent the other person and they want you to know every bad thing that this other person has ever done to them and how much they've made them suffer.
Right. So
that's usually where that's coming from.
Right. So if you adopt that strategy, you may feel like the judge has heard you, but at the end of the day, that person is going to judge you according to how you conducted yourself in court.
Right.
Did you interrupt? What was your demeanor like?
Yeah.
Did you kind of snidely snicker or roll your eyes when the other person was speaking? Did you accuse them of being a liar, which is pretty universal?
Yes. And just because they heard you doesn't mean they're going to rule in your favor.
Right. Right. You have to realize that you've got a docket with 10 cases in the morning session, and the court can't read every word of that, and they can't spend the whole time with you. They have other cases that they have to get to.
And the same is true if you have an attorney. If you're calling your attorney and, you're not getting a response within 24 hours, or you're not, I mean, I think most of us do try to return calls within 24 hours, but you're not getting a call back that same day, or you're, you're spending all of this time downloading about how you feel, and then you blow through your whole bill before you even know that, you spent it all talking about how you feel, or, you have this concept. We as individuals have this concept that we are the only client that attorney has to deal with. Yeah. And I think logically we know that's not true. Obviously we know our attorney has a caseload, but divorce is such a crisis that you're emotional and you're not thinking through the fact that the attorney probably has, normal family law caseload, depending on the practice and the number of attorneys, all these different things, anywhere from 30 to 50 cases per attorney.
Right.
So, imagine having to remember facts and things from 50 different cases, and if you have 50 clients and 10 of them call every single day, so that you can talk to each one of them once a week. 10 phone calls a day. What else are you? Your attorney's got to go to court. They've got to do all these other things. Like,
I got to get the brief done.
Yeah. The paperwork, it just doesn't, you have to kind of get out of your emotions a little bit and start thinking logically about this. What happens is the client, clients will say, well, I don't know what's important and what isn't. How do I know which things to tell you and which ones aren't important? Well, when you come in to court or to your attorney and you try to give this rendition of all the different things that have happened, or all the things that are important in your opinion. Excuse me, now I'm going to cough in your ear. What happens is you're not giving the attorney or the court or whoever the opportunity to ask the question that they're looking for, like, what's the date of marriage?
Right.
I don't get the date of marriage. I get, well, you know what happened on our wedding night? We went to get married and blah, 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 and I should have known then. And that's what it devolves into. And you never actually find out. Whereas if you would just say, March 22nd, 1980. Cool, we write that down. Then we go on to the next thing. See, you don't need to know everything they need to know. They will pull that out of you through questioning. That's what they're trained to do. That's what they know how to do. And so you don't really need to give more than a 1 to 2 sentence answer for practically any question that an attorney is going to ask you. And if you give them a 1 to 2 sentence answer, you're allowing them to move on and gather more facts on your case that would actually help you and be applicable, as opposed to bogging them down in this, 20-minute dissertation on all the different things that only resulted in one piece of fact coming out.
The client comes in and they're in crisis and they start unloading. So I say, what was the date of your marriage? And their answer is, well, let me start from the beginning. Back in 1984. So, and basically, as an attorney, I'm trained to take these facts and weed out the ones that I think are unimportant and just cull out the ones that I think will result in the result that our client is trying to get.
Right.
In the meantime, I've got somebody spraying a fire hose at me.
Right.
And I'm trying to drink from it.
Right.
So
and when you go into court, a lot of times the clients want you to be aggressive or obnoxious or pound the table or demand on their behalf or make this point. I just want this point out there. I want the judge to know this. Yeah. And people tend to think that that's being a good lawyer, but being a good lawyer isn't characterized by pounding the table or being obnoxious. We witnessed that one time just a couple of months ago where there was this lawyer that was kind of doing that, and the judge was just totally non-responsive to that.
Right.
When I say non-responsive, I don't mean that he didn't say anything. I mean he was not receptive. That's the better word. He was not receptive to that lawyer's behavior, and that lawyer got the worst result in the case, but his client, I think, in a lot of ways felt happier because his client felt like he
really fought for me.
Yeah,
he went down swinging.
Yeah, he went down swinging, essentially. Yeah. And what you have to recognize is that just because your attorney doesn't go down swinging, it doesn't necessarily mean it's because, oh, they don't have a backbone and I need somebody more aggressive. No, it's that attorney has enough experience and wisdom to know when it's not effective to pound the table. Right. So, when you come out of court, the big question is, do you like the result? If you like the result, it really doesn't matter whether the court heard your whole story or not. You won. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the